Welcome to another video on daily algorithm series. And in this video, we want to solve the problem, the FizzBuzz problem. So it says the FizzBuzz problem is a classic interview question that apparently many experienced engineer candidates often can't solve. All right, so let us look at this. So it says where a given number in the form of an integer, write a function that returns the string representation of all numbers from 1 to n. So take a closer look at this. So it says if it's a multiple of 3, represent it as fizz. If it's a multiple of 5, represent it as boost. If it's a multiple of 3 and 5, which is the both of them, represent it as FizzBuzz. If it's neither, just return the number itself. So what they are telling us now is very clear. All right. So now the big question is, how do you know if a particular number is a multiple of 3 or 5 or not? So to identify if a number is a multiple of a particular value, we have to divide that number and make sure there is no remainder. So if there is a remainder, we know that this is not a multiple of that number. So all we have to do is to return that number. So if there is no remainder, for example, we are looping through the value, which is n. We are looping through the value n. If there is no remainder, what we are going to replace that string is fizz. And we are also going to check if that number is a multiple of 5, which means if there is no remainder, we're going to replace that number with boost. So if it's actually a multiple of the combination of both number, we have to return FizzBuzz. All right, so they want us to return a string like this. So I'm going to return a string in this format. You can see it without a space. All right, guys, so let us solve this. So to solve this, I'm going to copy this code and take it to my VS Code. So I'm going to create a file and call this FizzBuzz. All right, let me zoom in so that we can see. Okay. All right, let me close this side and paste what I've copied. Okay, let me give some space here. All right, so this is the name of our function, and here we're going to write our code here. So for this, the first thing I want to do, okay, let's check if there's any constraint. Let me scroll down. Okay, so it says expected time complexity should be O of n, and the expected space complexity should be O of 1. All right, so let us move into the solution. Okay, so since we have been given a number, which is n, what I'm going to do, I'm going to time my results in an array. So I want to return my results in an array. So I am going to loop in a range of the given number. So I'm going to do for num in a range of which is 1 from 1. I don't want to start from 0, from 1, which is n plus 1. Okay, so instead of starting from 0, I will just do n plus 1 because I don't want to add 0 to the result. Okay, so if you look at this, you can see there is no 0. So that's the reason why I am starting from 1. If not, I would have do from 0 to n. All right, so I want to do from 1 to n plus 1. All right, so there won't be 0. All right, so what I'm going to check is I'm going to use the modulus, which is the division that check if there is remainder. So I'm going to do if num modulus, where is it? I'm looking for that in my keyboard. Okay, if num modulus 3 is equal to 0, so I'm going to check this condition first, both, which is the 3 and 5. So if num modulus 3 is equals to 0 and num modulus 5 is equals to what? 0. Okay, so what I'll do, I'm going to append something to my result. So I'm going to append FizzBuzz, okay, which is a string. So FizzBuzz. Okay, so next I'm going to do an if statement, an else if statement. Okay, sorry, something is just wrong here. Okay, let me align this very well. I'm sorry about that. Okay, good. Elif, if the num modulus 3 is equals to 0, so I want to append fizz to my result. So result.append fizz. Okay, so elif, if the num modulus 5 is equals to 0, then I'll also append boost to my results. So at the end, which is if the num does not match any of the given condition, so what I'll do is to append the number itself to the result. Okay, so now I don't want just to append the number like this, because this is a string, and if you look at the result here, it said we should return a string. So I'm going to convert that number to a string. So I'm going to say string of the number, so that I'll have everything in uniform. So at the end of it all, I want to return a string of that number. So I'm going to do string.join. I'm going to join the result. So if I join the result, okay, so that should give me a result. Okay, so let me try this. Let me run this code and see if it works. Okay, I just click on run. So it says 3 texts. It says 3 tests, and we pass the first text, which is okay. We pass the second test, okay, and we pass the third test. So this look good. So let me copy this back and put it in the platform. So I'm gonna put it here in the platform. I'm gonna run my code. Awesome. So we've done with these tags. So guys, thank you very much for watching. So guys, the time complexity for this code is the big O of n. Big O of n time. The reason for that is we are looping through the value of n, and n is the input. So the code is depending on the input size. And the space complexity is what? Big O of n. Big O of n space. Okay, the reason for this is we allocate a result, and for every item we are actually pushing an item to this list. So this at worst case can store every value of n, so it is O of n. But however, if we look at this, okay, if you look at this, you will see that the expected space complexity is O of 1. So guys, I have tried my best to figure it out. I'm still struggling, though. If you have a good solution to rework it, to make it work as O of n, you can hit the comment section. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in another video.